Hey everyone, Mac Murdoch here with a quick overview of the Beaverlabs TW2 Smart Telescope. We're going to be doing a quick unboxing, set up the telescope while talking about some of the specs, go over what it can and can't do, and then I'll give my final thoughts of who I think this is meant for. So let's dive in. When you get your package, it's going to come in this really nice carrying case. It's well designed, and with everything that's in it, it's pretty light, which makes it really easy and convenient to bring around from location to location or store at home. The tripod comes in its own separate box, but can be attached to these loops on the outside of the case. Inside, you have a camera with its own LCD screen, a remote, a red dot finder, a reducer, a locking knob, a map of the sky, a solar filter, a mount handle, and finally, you have your telescope. Setting everything up is so easy, a caveman can do it. First, you set up the tripod by spreading the legs fully until the middle bars are locked in. Put the telescope on top where the mount fits into the base of the tripod, and then use the locking screw to secure it down. Then install the handle by placing it in the hole and screwing it in. The more you screw the handle in, the more it will lock. Unscrew it a bit to move the telescope. The telescope itself is a 92mm diameter lens, f6.1 aperture, and 500mm of focal length. Take your camera, and depending on what you want to shoot, you can either use the effective 500mm of focal length, or you can use the 0.5 reducer adapter to give you 250mm of focal length. And before we install the camera, let's talk about the specs. So this camera has an internal storage of 32 gigs, which is more than you need for pictures. But if you're going to be using the highest quality setting for video, you can run out of space if the data is not unloaded onto your computer or phone from time to time. On this version, the camera now has an LCD screen, which allows you to use the telescope without the need of your phone. You also have multiple settings for different environments, a digital zoom up to 4 times, which is perfect for achieving the best focus, and you can adjust all the basic settings like shutter speed, ISO, saturation on the camera as well. Or, if you prefer to live the simple life, you can just leave it on auto. You even have the options in camera that can help you edit and adjust your images, like chromatic aberration correction, noise reduction, and dehaze. Personally though, I enjoy editing on the computer. In photo mode, you can shoot from 48 megapixels down to 8 megapixels in JPEG, and in video, you can shoot up to 4K in 30 frames per second in MP4s. JPEG and MP4 are perfect for posting what you shoot and are really easy to use. That being said, I would have loved if they could implement RAW and AVI formats for those of us who really like to do a deep dive on editing. Let's set up the rest of our telescope. Take off the caps from the camera and the telescope, and then screw the camera until it locks into place. Next, pop off the red dot finder with the screw in the back towards you. You can turn these 2 screws to calibrate the red dot to what your telescope is looking at. Under the LCD screen is a place to put the magnetic remote with the instructions on how to set it up, and boom, your setup is done. I put it through some tests, and here's what I came up with. For solar photography, I used the included solar filter and screwed it into the lens cap. You need to use the solar filter when you're looking at the sun, or you're gonna burn a hole through your camera and render your camera useless, maybe even start a fire. Don't do that. And the results were pretty decent, and something a beginner can really enjoy. Sunspots were visible and looked pretty cool, but I couldn't see any problems, flares, or like fine surface detail. Still really cool to see though. Where this telescope really excels is lunar photography. I found myself really enjoying looking at a close-up of the moon. Using the 4-time digital zoom on a crater and then focusing gave me crisp images. Also, using video mode to stack images and some editing magic gave me some pretty cool images of the moon. You can definitely get some interesting shots with some good details of craters. As far as planetary and deep space goes, unfortunately, it falls a little short, but not completely. I found that the planets are just too small and no real detail can be seen due to such a short focal length. Personally, I expected this from a 500mm telescope. However, you can see the rings of Saturn, even if just barely. For someone who's never seen a planet before, it's pretty cool. but it will leave you wanting more. A 3x or 4x Barlow lens would be a great addition for future versions. Deep space wise, is just not gonna happen. Maybe you can get some star clusters, but I wouldn't set an expectation of getting good photographs of galaxies and nebulas. Okay, so some final thoughts. I think this is a pretty cool telescope for those that just want something simple to bring with you to see and photograph the sun and the moon, or point out things in space. It's great for families where everyone can look at the LCD screen at the same time. The telescope itself is well made for the price, and the bag comes in handy. That being said, for anybody that wants to seriously get into astrophotography, this is not for you. You are much better off building a rig from scratch. I do hope that they can implement RAW and AVI formats in some firmware updates, but other than that, for a simple to use, portable telescope and camera setup, I'd say that this is a pretty cool scope. Thanks again for watching, guys. My name is Mac Murdoch. You can follow me on Instagram, and until next time, keep looking up.